Beslan
So
massacre.
I saw the Beslan massacre, and I saw...
This is when a bunch of terrorists took over a school.
Terrorists took over a school.
And the Russians went in and they blew it up or something.
Yeah, they took over the school, but the parents come outside the school. So imagine this. Your children are inside the school. Lots of terrorists have got the children. The parents are outside school gates. The military are not letting them go in because they've got the situation they're trying to deal with. And then you hear them start butchering the kids and killing the kids. And I can see the parents now. I can see it now. Dropping on their knees. And I remember watching it just going, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't one madman. This is an entire group. And a couple of weeks after this, there's an interview in a chicken shop in Luton. Yeah? And in this chicken shop in Luton, there's Pakistani Muslims being interviewed. And one of their names is Saif al-Islam, Sword of Islam. That's what it translates as. And at the time, he was number 2 in an organisation called Al-Mujahideen. All the country's worst terrorists, this was the group. Now, at the time, this group weren't prescribed as a terrorist organisation. There was no one prescribed as a terrorist organisation because we hadn't had a terrorist attack in the UK. All the groups that are prescribed and banned by the UAE and Islamic countries are allowed to grow and were supported and given a place in Britain. Yeah. So I look at this interview in a chicken shop and I saw these Muslims being interviewed, Pakistani boys, and they're talking about Chechnya, the attack, and he said if this happened in a school in the UK, it'd be justified. And I'm looking thinking, who the fuck is he? I'd already started looking at that group, the group that done it. So enough, and then I zoomed in on him and thought, Saif al-Islam, let me see who he is. Mosque. People might remember this. He used to stand and preach to hundreds of balaclava wearing Muslims, and there'd be promoting jihad and planning jihad, and no one's stopping them. And I see that every Saturday they're outside Don Miller's bakery in Luton Town Centre. So next time, as I'm standing there watching, they were recruiting people to go fight against British Armed Forces. Yeah, wow. Sending them out and helping them, and had all these pace tables set up. And there was a copper there. And I said to her, what the fuck is this? And how are these doing this? She said, it's free speech. I said, all right, see if it's free speech in 2 weeks then. She said, what? I said, we'll see if this is free speech in 2 weeks. So 2 weeks later, I organised about 200 lads. This is our football lads. And got the lads together and said, we've got to deal with these lot. Yeah, as in, they're outside our bakery in our town centre recruiting for terrorists. What's going on? Like, and then we had all the Pakistani gangs wanting blood because I'd named them, brought 200 lads out. For that first day, the terrorists weren't there. They bottled it. They always do bottle it, if I'm honest. When it's been on, they bottle it. Yeah. When the English fencing started, they bottled it. They weren't there. Yeah. That's
guerrilla tactics, right?
That's what they do. Then they come out in numbers. Then they come out in numbers and they get you. So by this time, I'm 24, 25, and there's a soldiers' homecoming parade in Luton. And as the soldiers are marching through, I saw police everywhere. And I thought, what's going on? Like, yeah, we've got a soldiers' homecoming, but there was quite a high presence of police. And then I saw about 30 women wearing niqabs. Yeah. And then I started spotting the jihadists, Saif al-Islam. And I saw the police take them. And then I saw my town hall, the doors opened, and they walked them all through. And then as the soldiers and their families have come marching down here at the back of the town hall, they took the Muslims right to the front. And then they spat at them. They spat at the soldier's mum's face. So when we saw this, people got angry. The police turned their batons on us. About 60 or 80 of them. We got the intel reports that the police detained 330 Muslims coming off the motorway. So they knew they were coming from everywhere to attack the troops. So they stopped the ones that were coming from outside Luton, but the Luton ones they couldn't stop. The council knew and the police knew what they were going to do, but they're so scared of them, they couldn't tell them no. So I set up a group called the United People of Luton, and we tried to get to the war memorial that they got to. And when we turned up on the day, hundreds of us, we had banners, we made it very clear, National Front, the Nazis go to hell, Saif al-Islam go to hell, Islamic extremists go to hell. And then they kettled us. So when we tried to get to the town hall, they kettled and they didn't let people past. And they kettled us for 3 or 4 hours. Women were having to urinate in the street. And next comes a second demonstration, and this is what gave birth to the English Defence League. And you can watch the video, United People of Luton protest. I'd say 500 lads turned up. And I bought balaclavas for everyone. So when we met at the pub, I gave everyone balaclavas, and we all had no surrender. We had Luton Town t-shirts, and it said no surrender to Al Qaeda. Yeah, and I'd gone to all the different estates and met lads from other estates who we didn't even like. Yeah, I said, lads, like, they're taking the piss. Unless we come together as a town, we need to stand up to this. Yeah, we need to stand up to the police, to the council, to all of them. They need to know that this can't carry on. So we all turned up that day, gave out the balaclavas. I rang the police beforehand, anonymously, and said, if you stop us, I'm just warning you, if you try and stop these lads getting to the, I'm giving you the feeling of the town. Luton's going to burn. I'm telling you, the whole town's going to burn. It's ready to blow. You could have lit a match and the town's about to explode. There was that much anger at what had happened, but then how we'd been treated as a community trying to have our say. Yeah, that's what it become about. It become not so much about what the Muslims had done. It become about the police response, the council response, and then now the imagery didn't look good. Okay, men in balaclavas charged through the streets. The police tried to stop it and couldn't stop it. They got run everywhere, and then everyone got to the war memorial, which is all people wanted. And then we held a minute's silence for our armed forces. But then the image was of hundreds of men wearing balaclavas standing outside our town hall with their hands up. That image went worldwide. Yeah, that was the start of the English Defence League.
Okay.
That's what really gave birth to it. Was that group, Al Mujahideen, the terrorists, who weren't prescribed at the time, we just followed them. So I looked at what they were doing, Islamic Roadshow. They were in Birmingham, they were in Wood Green. We got about 40, 50 of us in the back of a van, and then we jumped out on them in Wood Green to put up their pace tables. And it was sort of like, I guess, instead of going looking for other football teams on a Saturday, we're thinking, get the terrorists. That's how it started.
Okay. And it was a successful start. Did you get what you wanted?
We got what we wanted. They started, well...
And recognition and media coverage.
Media coverage, and it went from me realising that the problems I'd seen in Luton, they're in every town and city.
Okay.
As we took it national, I had families coming to me about their daughters. I was hearing different stories thinking, Jesus, it's the same. Everywhere across the country, we're being betrayed. Our daughters are under attack. Growing up in this town, my cousin was a victim of what we now call grooming gangs. She was 14, she was raped, gang raped. She woke up naked, getting raped by loads of men with beards, and she'd run through the streets, and the prostitutes on the streets stopped her. They rang her dad. The family ring the police, nothing, yeah? In the end, she'd be climbing back out the window to get back to the Muslim gangs for their heroin fixes, and the police would just say she's a drug addict. The reality, she was a child who they'd enticed, groomed, and then raped, yeah? And nothing was done. And do you know how many girls I went to school with and watched these things happen to? Yeah? So we're what? Well, on a Saturday, there's 100 English lads. On a Saturday, yeah? So I used that 100 English lads in 2004 to tell this group, Al Mujahideen, you're not in the town anymore, lads. Yeah. So, and we turned up, and it was called Ban the Luton Taliban. Now, I made leaflets at that time, and I actually went. So before I'd done my Oxford Union presentation.
Tommy, can I just stop you there, just to make it clear for people? When you say English lads, it's not white lads; it's white and black.
No,
lads.
white and black. Yeah, I don't. People think I don't see colour. White, black, and Asian lads.
Yeah,
yeah. We've got Sikh lads in the group. I've just grown up in that. Yeah, white English are a minority in Luton. Yeah, I've just grown up with that. Not bothered. But